raising awareness and listening to your concerns about an epidemic in East Tennessee.
I'm really tired of taking little babies away from their mothers, destroying that bond that can never be recreated. And these women are sick, they can't stop.
Pregnancy and a mother's addiction. Hundreds of babies born drug dependent every year, 1,000 in Tennessee last year alone, more than half of those in East Tennessee.
Started with just like drinking and smoking, and it progressed pretty quickly.
Local mothers share their struggle and their search for a road to recovery. Tonight, a 10 Listens panel. Experts answer your questions about an epidemic in East Tennessee, how we got here, and what's next in the fight toward reaching recovery.
You can't stop it. It's, you know you're hurting your child. You know you're doing this to them, but yet you're still going to go out and get that other pill.
Like a monster inside of you trying to get out is what it feels like.
Do you think any mother would want to do that to their child if they had control over what was going on?
It's okay. My childhood was good. Normal, typical childhood.
I was a single mom, so maybe that was the one thing that might have been a little bit different. She had a large extended family. She did well in school until she was about 14, and then everything changed.
Started with just like drinking and smoking, and it progressed pretty quickly.
She wasn't even the same child. She lied all the time. She didn't want to go to school. She got mixed up with a totally different group of people between the pot and the alcohol. I just thought that that was the depth of her using, but evidently I was wrong.
High school was just like a big party for me. And then when I turned 18 is when I found pain pills.
And that's the thing about substance abuse. It doesn't discriminate. It touches everybody, from celebrities to college students to soccer moms to inner city kids.
If you look at the problem of prescription drug abuse from a national perspective, what you see is this hotbed of prescription drug abuse in the Appalachian region.
We are at a crossroads of the country. When 40 and 75 cross, it brings lots of commerce and possibility, and it brings this drug trafficking.
We have an epidemic not just in East Tennessee, but in Tennessee. Controlled substance use or narcotic use has really skyrocketed in the past several years, and especially here in East Tennessee. We have the third highest per capita, so per person, controlled substance prescriptions. We're the third highest in the nation.
Over 60% of the cases are coming from Northeast, East, and Knox County. So you can definitely see that the epidemic of prescription drug abuse is definitely geographically located more in the eastern part of the state.
There are many, many things that contribute to this problem, and it's on several sides. Physicians willingly writing controlled substances for their patients. A lot of physicians will point to the fifth vital sign being pain, contributing to that problem, and also patient satisfaction surveys.
If you're a doctor at the ER and they're grading your pay base and giving you bonuses based on client satisfaction, and someone comes in and describes vague pains and asks for OxyContin, and you don't deliver that OxyContin to them, you're losing money. And you know that. And that's exactly the way that many of our medical businesses grade their physicians. That's wrong. We need to stop that.
Kind of the scary part as far as this particular epidemic is it tends to catch people off guard, and by the time they realize that they've crossed that threshold from using it appropriately to abusing it, they're already addicted in many cases.
The most frustrating thing to me is I don't see people getting better. I don't see people that are able to quit. A person that's cured from these addictions is like somebody hitting a home run in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs. It's wonderful when it happens. We just don't see it happening enough.
One of the things that we see in Appalachia, one is the poverty level and unemployment, and also powerlessness, and maybe some hopelessness.
My name is Jennifer. I'm 24 years old. This is Zayden. He is 12 days old. Originally, I started with smoking marijuana whenever I was young, whenever I was like 15. My mom, she sort of had like a mental breakdown, I guess, and she stopped caring or stopped showing that she cared. You know, she let me do whatever I wanted. That's whenever I started, you know, socially using opiates. I have an older brother. I have 2 older brothers, but I have one older brother who was bipolar, and he had a lot of mental illness. He committed a suicidal overdose successfully, and I found him on the couch dead. After we buried my brother, my mom ran off with a man that she met. She knew him for a week and married him, and for the last 4 years I haven't seen or heard from her. That was very hard. That's whenever my addiction went to its peak. I didn't really have no one except for, you know, my children's dad, and he wasn't right. You know, he wasn't the best thing for me at that time, but that's what I had.
I went and told the Pregnancy Resource Center that I was using. I didn't want to tell people that I was actually using. I was ashamed and scared. I'd already had one drug-exposed baby, so I told them, hoping they could like point me in a direction for help.
I just wish that somebody would have, you know, opened their doors and, I mean, she had insurance and took her, but I found out through that experience that unless you're on alcohol or Xanax, you're not getting any help.
I was probably like 6 or 7 months, and I called Cornerstone. I was too far along. On top of that, my insurance would not cover Cornerstone. Centerpoint, I was on their waiting list for a very long time. Even after I had Brayley, I was still on the waiting list. I did go to my OBGYN. I did have track marks on my arms. My blood work, you know, obviously it would say that there's drugs in my system. They never asked me about it or anything, though.
I really don't know where a pregnant woman could find treatment. So we sat down and we called all those places. There was no beds, and as a matter of fact, a waiting list of like a year. Well, it only takes 9 months to have a baby.
We don't have enough treatment facilities for these pregnant women, and we need to look at that. That's a real challenge that we have in front of us. Because if a woman self-identifies and says, hey, yeah, I'd like to get off these medications, but we don't have a place for her to go, we've lost that opportunity.
Well, I think we got a bad law on the books, making it a misdemeanor now for a woman to ingest drugs while she's pregnant. I think that encourages women to hide the fact that they're pregnant, to have their babies in private, to not gain access to care, you know, during their pregnancies.
I understand the momentum behind the law. I just don't think it's, you know, when there's not enough resources out there, and the understanding in the community is that it's going to result in taking your baby, I don't think it's really helping people get into treatment.
You know, the problem with it is, as soon as someone hears, you know, I could be arrested, you know, some of the unintended consequences of the law were things such as women not getting prenatal care because they were afraid their OBs would turn them in, and they would be arrested while they were pregnant.
I was one of those people. I didn't seek prenatal care until it was almost time for me to have my daughter. There's a lot of women, you know, out there every day that's pregnant and won't even, you know, self-consciously acknowledge that they're pregnant because they don't want to deal with the consequences. I didn't acknowledge I was pregnant, and that's a hard thing to admit. Because my daughter, she's so precious, she's perfect, you know.
Another East Tennessee mother is facing criminal charges under a new drug law that recognizes unborn children as potential crime victims.
The Blount County Sheriff's Office arrested Brittany Hudson Monday. Investigators believe she took drugs during her pregnancy, gave birth to her baby girl on the side of the road, and did not take the baby to the hospital.
I couldn't hardly get my breath. I mean, I've just never seen anything like that in my life. I mean, she wanted to love this baby and she wanted to do, you know, the things that a mother would do, but she just couldn't.
I went really downhill. I never done heroin, and I started shooting heroin in my neck, mixing stuff, just hoping to die.
So I took her to Nova's emergency room, and the doctor finally came in, and there was 2 ODs on both sides of us. So of course he wasn't too inclined to help. And you know, he basically said, good luck. And I said, no, 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 no. I said, so you go back in there and find me somewhere to take her. And he came back and said, take her to Buffalo Valley the next morning. So that was in Nashville. We left about 5:30 for Nashville. And this place opened the door and they were like, oh, welcome, we've got her now. And I was like, oh, thank God. So before I got back home, they called me and they said that TennCare had denied her treatment and they let her out.
Coming up, a neonatal nurse describes her first experience treating a baby exposed to drugs and breaks down what exactly happens to their bodies when they become dependent.
My real first experience with drug exposure was not specifically NAS, but it was a cocaine baby. And so that baby was born very quickly and was very tiny. That baby was dying and there was nobody there. And so I held that baby while it died. And, you know, I thought, this can't happen again. This won't happen again. And really, I didn't see it happen in epidemic proportions or all that frequently until we started seeing increases in the early 2000s. We went from a couple of babies going through opiate withdrawal to a couple a month to a couple a week, and basically where we are is a couple a day is what we average out to.
Neonatal Abstinence Syndrome, or NAS as most people call it now, is a condition that a baby experiences that was exposed to opiates in utero due to the mother's drug use.
It could be prescribed. It could be a replacement therapy such as methadone, Suboxone, or Subutex for addiction recovery. It can be chronic pain treatment. People who have had some sort of injury and have been on oxycodone, hydrocodone for a long time for chronic treatment, and they become pregnant. And it can be illicit use, such as heroin or pain pills that have been diverted and are being misused. It all breaks down into an opiate in utero and crosses through the placenta into the baby's bloodstream and therefore into the baby's brain. And once the baby's born, the umbilical cord is cut and its supply is cut.
So basically it's their bodies crying out for that drug because they're no longer getting it.
The baby will begin to experience physical withdrawal symptoms anywhere from minutes after birth to as far out as 7 to 10 or even 14 days. We can begin to see the baby start to have tremors. They can shake uncontrollably. It is the only thing that we treat in neonatology that I can say is 100% preventable. I can't ever tell anybody they won't have a preterm baby or they won't have a baby with birth defects. But if a baby is not exposed in utero to these medications or these drugs, it won't have withdrawal.
East Tennessee Children's Hospital has really done a really wonderful job of stepping up to the plate and adjusting how they manage these children.
We didn't see this, in the beginning of these babies coming in withdrawing, and then in 2010 it exploded. So we put this team together and every department responded so quickly and fully. At that time we didn't have the private room unit, so our babies were withdrawing right next to our micro preemies who were critically ill, and that was not good for them. So the hospital administration responded by trying to find more real estate within the hospital.
They have built a whole new section in their neonatal intensive care unit just for these kids. If you've ever been to an NICU, a NICU, they are not quiet places. There are bells and whistles going off, there are lights, all kinds of stuff. So these units are quieter, they have less lighting, they're painting them different.
And then our nurses who were exhausted and really struggling with caring for these kids. We asked them what did they need. One of which was they didn't have enough hands. And our director of volunteer services was at our table and she said, I can fix that.
Itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun. I'm a volunteer cuddler. I come in twice a week, 4 hours at a time, and work with the babies. She's restless right now because she's having gas pains, and so they have acid reflux, they have cramps, they have diarrhea, they pass a lot of gas, and it's all very uncomfortable. They have a lot of other symptoms, but those are the ones that I mostly deal with. So I just go from room to room, holding babies, and trying to calm babies, trying to help the nurses. It's enormously satisfying to be able to calm a baby, to feel like I'm helping with their treatment and with their recovery. I don't think there's any question at all that a lot of holding during this treatment period early in a baby's life helps a lot.
And so East Tennessee Children's Hospital has done a lot of work on how they handle those babies and making the withdrawal process easier for the babies so that they don't have to stay in the hospital so long.
Every baby born NAS at Children's or at UT, then I'm doing the legal work up here. And we're all overwhelmed. We're all slammed. Here's what will happen. The Department of Children's Services will get a notification from the place of birth. DCS will come in. They'll do interviews. They'll look for family members that can help out. They'll determine what the evidence is. They'll make a referral, and I'll get a piece of paper that says, we're asking that you remove this child, place this child in the custody of the state of Tennessee because the child was exposed in utero to these dangerous substances by the mother. I'm really tired of taking little babies away from their mothers, destroying that bond that can never be recreated. And these women are sick, they can't stop. People that gave them the pills made them sick, and it's really a frustrating part of my job.
Coming up, a local mother describes what it's like to detox behind bars and her journey to a successful recovery.
My rock bottom was when Braylee got taken, but it didn't stop me. I kept digging for more, I guess.
She went to her usual place where the drugs were or whatever, and they committed a crime, and the next day she went to jail.
I had a hard time in jail, and I was there 2 weeks to withdraw, and my mom finally bailed me out, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I was so tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I was willing to do whatever to get clean.
What happened next after that was I spent 90 days of her sleeping with me, going to work with me. She was never out of my sight.
I did 2.5 months with like no recovery. It was just my mom and her little jail, I guess I would say. I kept taking these assessments to places trying to get in. I couldn't even get like into IOP. Like my insurance is like, well, you've been clean, 2 weeks now, you're fine. You don't need anything.
We've been open for a year and 3 months, and started out very small. Now we have 19 moms, and those moms represent 39 children. The vision is that we would be a holistic facility and that we would help them in every area of their life.
They don't have to worry about, okay, I've got to meet with my therapist on Tuesday, and I've got to meet with my case manager from this program on Thursday, and we're all here in one program, trying to put it all together.
It's not just stopping doing the drug, it's all the coping skills afterwards. There's a lot. There's parenting, there's core beliefs, like I said, it's not just quitting the drug itself, it's the aftercare too. You have to have a foundation or you're just going to turn around and fall right back down on your face.
Medium short, that would be a Jody. When I first got here, I just come out of jail and I didn't have anything. I lost everything that I had, and literally the clothes on my back was all I had. So this is awesome.
I think the vision is only expanding, and I think the next step for us is trying to really get the aftercare plan in place for ladies when they leave here, so that when they leave we can be sure that they're going to have a job, they're going to have transportation, they're going to have child care, and they're going to be able to actually be uplifting and support their children and support their families.
It's so many things that need to be done. And it's not just about the patient. There's a whole system that contributes to people ending up addicted to medications.
We need to grade doctors on results, but we need to do it a different way. Patient satisfaction is a flawed way to do it because the people that aren't being handed out the pills are hurting the doctors that won't give them out. So that's counterproductive to our problem here. That's another issue. That's one we could easily correct by changing the way that we grade our physicians.
We've got to find a balance. We don't want to go back to where we're not treating pain anymore, but we've gone too far the other way.
I'd like to see a law that regulates the manufacturing of these substances. And that's way above my pay grade. Hey, I'm just a juvenile court judge. I'm here taking care of the kids. But I think if it's going to ever truly stop, it's got to stop at the top. And the economic cost, I mean, we haven't even talked about that because the human tragedy is so great. I haven't even said a word about the economic cost. We're spending billions on this addiction.
We didn't suddenly wake up one morning and go, oh my gosh, we have people who are addicted to medications and we have babies being born dependent on medications. So it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of education. It's going to take time to change that culture.
If I could got a little more education, and through education I could have, seeked out a program maybe like this one. It could have made a big difference in my daughter, with my actions with my daughter and what my daughter went through. Could have made a big difference. He's smiling probably, not laughing. I'm graduating next Friday, and I'll be going to a transitional living home. I'm pretty excited. I'm ready for the next step in life. I feel more confident as a person, as a mom. I think he has a really bright future ahead of him. I'm gonna make sure that he's secure with mine and his relationship, that the trust is there. And we have a very secure bond. And I've worked really hard to make sure of that.
That's the sweetest look.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, when you get a chance, flip through these.
I don't want to ever forget that I'm not an addict, because as soon as I do, I'm going to go downhill quick. I've got to remember where I came from and what I've been through and how evil that addiction is.
She works with these women. It's almost like that fuels her next day clean, because she can look at them and say, well, this is where I'm headed. Here's my scars.
I'm so fortunate because there is a lot of girls that don't have advocates, and that their support system is, people in active addiction, and they have had super traumatic experience. I feel like at Renaissance we are the advocate for the mom because we care about the baby, but a lot of times the mom just gets thrown out.
Yeah, I think the most tangible evidence of her helping these drug-dependent women is through her own self-confidence. It's almost like with everyone that she meets, she treats them like she would have wanted somebody to have treated her, and that she didn't get.
I actually go back to court to figure out a parenting plan. Right now we're week on, week off. It's definitely been different. And it progressed really fast for me once I got clean and got overnights. The next thing you know, I had her joint custody of her. And she's a very happy, talkative baby that's into everything.
I mean, she's as cute as a little button, smart as a tack, and they both deserve to see Brittany go and be a good mom.
I've actually started working on her and my 4-year-old a scrapbook. Scrapbooks was the last thing on my mind. I didn't think I would ever get to this point. And people who knew me then and know me now, they don't even know I'm the same person, because I was being run, my life was being controlled by drugs, and now it's not.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. I am Robin Wilhoit from WBIR Channel 10, and tonight, a 10 Listens panel of experts has gathered here at the Knox County Health Department to address your questions about an epidemic here in East Tennessee. We are talking about the NAS epidemic, babies being born drug dependent. There is a law in the books, the fetal assault law, that basically criminalizes women who are pregnant who abuse drugs. That law is set to sunset in July of this year. I'm curious, and this is to any of our panel members, how has this law impacted what we are dealing with now?
Well, I just pulled those numbers. We have seen, for instance, in 2014, the number of admissions to our NICU, this is not NAS admissions, this is all of our admissions, so our preterm babies all the way through, was 23 women that had no prenatal care out of about 750 admissions. And in 2015, we had 61. It is a stark and dramatic increase. Every single day we are hearing stories. It's not just the NAS, it's we're going to get a baby somewhere. They just had one born in a toilet, born on the side of the road, born in a truck, born at home, born in a meth house. People are not only not getting prenatal care, they're also retreating within their addiction and not getting help for that either. And so it's hurting tremendously. And the best thing that a woman who finds herself in this situation can do is seek prenatal care. They are by far one of the highest risk patients, both to their own health and to that baby's health. So, one of the best things that they can do really is to get prenatal care, and they are running and they're telling us, am I going to be arrested now? Or they won't come visit because they're still afraid they're going to be arrested. And so that bonding is broken. So it's just been very detrimental from our perspective.
Okay. A question once again to all of you. Do all moms addicted deserve to have their babies taken away from their custody?
No.
Yeah. Short answer.
No. There are, and that's part of the problem that I see with the law, was that the way it was written, they focused on NAS. And as I said before, a baby's going to have NAS because it's withdrawing from a supply of opiate. So you can't judge by the diagnosis what the problem on the other end is. Are there places where there are criminal acts occurring, or places where there might be need for intervention? Possibly, but most of the moms I deal with, that's not the case, and it's different from county to county how that will be handled as far as in the court. But we have had heartbreaking situations where we've had mothers who participated at a very high level in the care of their babies in our nursery, and yet still had their babies taken from them. And, that just further perpetuates the tragedy and the trauma on both sides.
Good evening and thank you for watching. I'm John Becker. My colleague Robin Wilhoit is on assignment in Nashville tonight, and that's where state lawmakers will decide whether to keep the fetal assault law or let it expire in July. The current law charges pregnant women with a crime who are caught abusing drugs. Last year in Tennessee, 1,000 babies were born drug dependent. Again, 10 News anchor Robin Wilhoit in Nashville with an East Tennessee woman urging lawmakers to do away with that law.
It is up to state lawmakers here in Nashville to decide whether to keep the 2014 fetal assault law on the books or let it expire later this year in July. Brittany Hudson, a recovering addict and mother, says it does more harm than good. Brittany Hudson is on a mission. She, along with other people who want the fetal assault law gone, make the rounds to state lawmakers' office, hoping to grab their ear.
This is from Children's Hospital, and this is before the law was passed.
For Brittany, this law is personal. She was one of the first women in the state to be charged with harming her unborn child, taking prescription pills while pregnant. She says the law hurts more than it helps. Addicted mothers need treatment, but she says it's hard to come by.
This is a disease. You have to treat it like a disease, They don't need bars, they need health care. These girls need help and be proactive rather than reactive.
State Representative Andrew Farmer voted for the law in 2014. The goal then to protect unborn children and force addicted moms to get treatment. He's since changed his stance.
I'm pretty solid on my position that I'm going to oppose, and I let Ms. Weaver know that I was going to be a no against her bill.
Metro Drug Coalition Executive Director Karen Pershing says since the law was enacted, the number of babies born dependent in Tennessee has not dropped.
Actually, we're seeing the numbers go up because this law is really dealing with the issue after the baby is here. So it's not preventing a NAS birth.
But a vote on the bill to extend the law would not come, at least today.
Just please be on notice that's going to be rolled 1 week from today.
The subcommittee will take it up once again next week, and Brittany will be back.
I don't feel discouraged. I feel like maybe that's more time to persuade some people to say no to it and disagree with the bill and oppose it and get it off the books.
In Nashville, Robin Wilhoit, 10 News.
With hundreds of babies born dependent on drugs in East Tennessee, last year reaching recovery is a struggle. On Thursday at 7 on WBIR, we'll take an in-depth look at that fight, why many call for solutions and better resources to fight that epidemic. The documentary produced by UT students will air at 7 o'clock right here, and the Knox County Health Department will also air it. A 10Listens forum will also follow at 7:30. Tonight we are taking a deeper look into the growing issue of babies being born drug dependent in East Tennessee. A documentary created by UT students will air tonight on WBIR, followed by a discussion on Neonatal Abstinence Syndrome, or NAS. My colleague, WBIR 10 News anchor Robin Wilhoit, joins us live from the Knox County Health Department. And Robin, this is being called an epidemic in our area.
Indeed, an epidemic. Drug addiction and pregnancy, babies being born drug dependent. Consider this, John. Last year, about 1,000 babies in Tennessee born dependent on drugs, more than half of them right here in East Tennessee. So yes, it is being called an epidemic. But tonight we are shining the light on this problem. What is contributing to it? What are we doing to fix it? And what you can do to help?
I'm really tired of taking little babies away from their mothers, destroying that bond that can never be recreated. They can't stop. People that gave them the pills made them sick, and it's really a frustrating part of my job.
Pregnancy and a mother's addiction. Hundreds of babies born drug dependent every year. 1,000 in Tennessee alone last year. More than half of those in East Tennessee.
Started with just like drinking and smoking, and it progressed pretty quickly.
Local mothers share their struggle and their search for a road to recovery.
I mean, she wanted to love this baby and she wanted to do, you know, the things that a mother would do, but she just couldn't.
The effort to open more facilities to help mothers find treatment.
If a woman self-identifies and says, hey, yeah, I'd like to get off these medications, but we don't have a place for her to go.
A look at how far we've come.
We've been open for a year and 3 months, and started out very small. Now we have 19 moms, and those moms represent 39 children.
Plus, the fight to change a law that criminalizes women who abuse drugs while pregnant.
Some of the unintended consequences of the law were things such as women not getting prenatal care because they were afraid their OBs would turn them in.
We'll address why East Tennessee has become such a hotbed for such a dangerous problem.
I held that baby while it died, and you know, I thought, this can't happen.
Answer your questions about the road to recovery and how you can help. Drug addiction and pregnancy, babies being born drug dependent. It is a problem of epidemic proportions. Consider these numbers. 1,000 babies born in Tennessee just last year drug dependent. More than half of them right here in East Tennessee. It's an epidemic. So we are shining the light on this problem through a documentary and a panel discussion this evening. We are focusing on the problem, what is contributing to it, what is being done about it, and what you can do to help. Speaking of helping, a UT doctor is doing his part in transforming treatment when it comes to helping these women who are pregnant but also drug addicted. 10 News anchor Mary Scott, you had the opportunity to speak to this doctor today. This treatment impacting not only the mothers but also the babies.
Yes, that's right, Robin. We're talking about UT Medical Center Dr. Craig Towers and his practice. They have successfully helped hundreds of women detox during their pregnancies. And they say that those women's babies are born without drugs in their system.
Yeah.
At less than 2 weeks old,
Oh, him smile and mommy kiss him.
Rhiannon Meadows' baby boy is happy and healthy.
He's never done that before.
His first few weeks of life would likely have been much different if she had not stopped abusing prescription pain pills 4 months into her pregnancy.
He would detox and I wouldn't be able to keep him, and that would start his life off in a direction I didn't want it to.
He was not born with Neonatal Abstinence Syndrome, what babies can have if their mothers use opiate drugs throughout their pregnancy, fearing that detox will be too much.
It's like having the flu like 5 times over.
Knowing she had a baby on the way gave her the motivation she needed.
You have an occasional patient who, you know, probably wishes that she's not pregnant and doesn't seem to care, but the overwhelming majority of them are interested in getting off. They don't want to harm their child.
It was her doctor, Craig Towers, who recommended she go to a residential detox facility at just 3 months along. That's not standard practice across the country.
In Virginia, they told me that I could go to a methadone clinic or Subutex clinic, and I didn't want to do that because I wanted off of it anyways.
Dr. Towers, who specializes in high-risk pregnancies, did not like the outcome of methadone clinics.
So it isn't that that protocol was bad, it's just a process that we keep the mother addicted, and then the child will end up going through, neonatal abstinence syndrome after birth.
So he tried his own study, where pregnant women are weaned off the drug.
The bottom line is detox is not harmful.
A method that in just a few years has saved more than 300 babies from neonatal abstinence syndrome in the study alone. He says he's treated many more addicted women successfully.
And that's the first thing we have to get out into the literature so that the nation can change its practice in that regard.
Breaking through a stigma in hopes of solving the epidemic of drug-dependent babies.
And then the next step is working on programs that can maintain them after they've been detoxed so they don't relapse.
That's why Dr. Towers recommended Rhiannon go to the Helen Ross McNabb program, Great Starts. She and her baby live there together while she continues her treatment.
I feel better than I have in a very long time.
Rhiannon knows addiction will always be a struggle.
Not something we want to do. We feel guilty and ashamed.
And she's thankful to know her baby did not have to experience it. And Robin, Dr. Towers wanted me to stress that there is value in those methadone and Suboxone clinics, but he wants women to know that detoxing is an option, and he wants their doctors to know that as well.
Even though this is a new form of treatment, it by no means is easy.
That's right. I was just speaking with Susanna's house director, and she told us that detoxing is extremely painful, and we heard Rhiannon say in the story, it feels like the flu ×5. But Dr. Towers says that doesn't necessarily cause stress to the baby, that he's found through his research, and he feels that it's worth it in the end so that the baby doesn't have to detox.
Treatment, that is just one of the many areas we will be focusing on tonight when it comes to neonatal abstinence syndrome. We are going to be addressing it tonight through a documentary produced by UT students, Reaching Recovery, and a panel discussion here at the Knox County Health Department. If you want to join in the discussion, use the hashtag 10Listens. But for now, John, we'll send it back to you.
Robin, thank you. Some more specifics on that documentary. It airs at 7 o'clock right here on WBIR. After that, again, Robin will host that live 30-minute panel discussion. If you would like to join in person, doors open at 6:30 at the Knox County Health Department. One programming note, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy will air overnight starting at 2 in the morning.
Treatment center now that it is very, the way it's worded, people are not going to their OBs. I didn't.
An East Tennessee mother testifies against a controversial law that criminalizes women who use drugs while pregnant. Tonight, how you can join the fight against an epidemic. Welcome back to 10 News at 5. I'm Beth Haynes. A committee will take up that law next week. It's known as the Fetal Assault Law, and it's set to expire in July. Brittany Hudson, who you just heard from, asked the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee not to renew the bill yesterday. She was one of the first women in the state to be charged under it. She told lawmakers she didn't receive treatment while pregnant because the law scared her. Others testified the law should stand, including another mother who took drugs while pregnant. That woman said if it were not for the law, she never would have gotten help. Now, the bill is also awaiting action in the Senate. And as this plays out in the state capitol, Brittany and the Renaissance Recovery Foundation are working to help drug-addicted moms recover here in East Tennessee. Brittany joins us today along with Jeff Skinner, both with that recovery group. Really appreciate both of you being here. And I know we've talked to you quite a bit, Brittany, over the last week, in fact, several weeks. Let's begin by talking about this event. You're hosting it. It's Saving Two Lives Charity Auction. Tell us the focus of this and what you have planned.
Sure. So the Saving Two Lives Charity Auction event is an event that will take place Saturday, March 19th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Beard and Banquet Hall. All proceeds go directly to the prevention of babies being born drug dependent. In fact, Renaissance Recovery Group, the Renaissance Foundation, we have one singular purpose, and in fact it is the prevention of babies being born drug dependent.
And saving two lives, that's an important distinction for the group. Brittany, talk more about that.
We feel like it's important to save the baby's life. We obviously have to save the mom's life as well, for these babies not to be drug exposed. So it's not just about one life, it's about both lives. They both matter.
We've talked a lot in the last week about this being an epidemic, and I think that's one thing you talked about. You're hearing from so many people in the community about this issue. If people aren't as familiar with it, is this a good place to start and start to be educated
Absolutely.
about the epidemic that's going on?
So at the event, you'll receive a tremendous message. In fact, we're going to have Dr. Michael Fields, who is a prominent OBGYN and a director of robotic surgery here in our region, is going to speak for a while, as well as Brittany's going to share some of her story as well. This is a very controversial issue right now. We understand it's a hot topic. We're not necessarily here to take a side of the bill or not. What we are here to say is what we do works. We have a 78% reduction in overall NICU stay. 60% of our patients' babies, they never see the NICU. It's simple math. What we do works. We are an entity that is fighting for our survival, and we feel that our singular greatest obstacle to treatment is, in fact, that these women are living in an environment of fear. I understand the intent of the law, but being on the ground level and in the trenches, so to speak, what I'm seeing is that women are not seeking treatment. In fact, I'm a brand new facility. It's an absolute fact that there's a lack of treatment facilities in our region, and I am struggling to get patients. And I believe that the reason I'm struggling to get patients is, again, these women are living under a false assumption. They don't understand the way the law reads to the fullest extent. What they believe is that if I'm using and I'm pregnant, I'm going to go to jail and I'm going to lose my baby.
Sure.
In fact, my message to any listener that would be hearing this message today is that is in fact not the case. That's not the way that situation has to play out. We are here. Contact us today. We will advocate for you. The earlier the better. The sooner
What's
we
the
get involved.
contact information for your
So
facility?
absolutely, thank you for it's our phone number is 474-1299. We have a website, renaissancerecovery.net.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page, and you can message us right off the Facebook page.
Perfect. And Brittany, I know you're going to be sharing your story really quickly. What do you hope mothers out there hear from you?
Just to not be afraid. I hope that they do go get treatment or attempt it, and I know it's hard, but like you said, we're here, and you know, I know a lot of these women don't have a voice, and we become that voice and advocate for these women and the babies.
You've shown incredible strength, so we thank you both for coming on. And here's all the information. Saturday, March 19th, Beard and Banquet Hall, and ticket information if you would like to attend. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.